in here, and you're probably wondering, what do I think after reading that article and figuring out about Half-Life 3? I mean, not Half-Life 3, but Half-Life Episode 3. Man, dude, mm, I feel like a part of me just died. Like, I don't know. I grew up with Half-Life and even Portal. But, dude, I feel like this might be a rant video. And you're probably wondering, why is it a rant video? Come on, dude, don't do this. Well, it just needs to be said. Something needs to be said. You know, I thought Valve was a, what's it called? Okay, Valve was a good, what's it called? A good, it was a good, it was a good game company. Well, let's just say that I might take that back. First off, this might be turning into a rant for what's it called? Towards Gabe Newell. So Gabe Newell, you done messed up. First, I want to be talking about how I watched a video about this guy, and his name is Valve News Network. I'll be citing, yeah, I'm gonna give him a shout out because he is blown away just like how I'm blown away. Because first off, okay, back in the day when Valve was a small game company, they created Half-Life. Lots of people liked it. What else? Yeah, lots of people liked it. Not only did they like it, but they it was like it didn't have any, like, what's it called? It was like it didn't have any repercussions. It was like one of those games. But what I gotta say is, Valve, then they waited a few years, and what's it called? They hired the people, who made Portal. I'm okay with that, okay? I'm okay with them hiring the people who made Portal. And they made Portal, and that was an excellent game. I liked it as much as I liked Half-Life. They made Half-Life 2. I was happy about that. They made Episode 1 also. That was excellent. Half-Life 2 and Episode 1, they were good. Then they released the Portal and Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and they left off with a cliffhanger. Now, you might say that, oh, cliffhanger isn't that bad. Well, it kinda is if you never finish your game. Now, talking about this, I've always fantasized about, what's it called, Half-Life 3 and Episode 3, but, what really just, really grinds my gears is that Laidlaw was the one who released it. He's been working on Half-Life for a long time. I think he left Valve. Yeah, he left Valve. I'll get back into this into a second, but I'm not happy one bit. And you might be saying, well, Roku is just a game. Not okay. It is a game. I'll give you that. But one, it is one of the first-person shooters that helped other first-person shooters get to where they are now. And basically, once I get on this island here, I'll be right back, but I'll still be ranting. I'll be right back, guys. I'm back, guys, and I'm back to this ranting. So, first off, like I said, I was okay with Half-Life 2. You know, that's a good game. Half-Life Episode 1, that was good. Half-Life Episode 2, it was okay, but it left off at a cliffhanger. You know, nobody don't like no cliffhangers. Well, what's it called? And then they came out with Portal. Now that I think is excellent. That's one of those games that revolutionizes like the gaming industry. But guess what happens? They say, oh yeah, we're gonna release episode 3 in the holiday season, so be suspecting it. December comes rolling around. Guess what? No episode 3. Everybody's like, well, y'all said that it's coming out in the holiday season, so what happened? They didn't have nothing to say about it. Fast forward 10 years. Let's fast forward until now. Mark Laidlaw posts on his blog episode 3, the one closest to end Half-Life off. Now, you know, I'm kind of mad at Valve right now. I'm not mad at Laidlaw because he didn't want people to keep speculating about this game that he knew Valve was never going to come out with. That Gabe Newell was not going to release, or Valve itself. You know, this is turning into more of a rant against Valve and what's his name? Gabe Newell. So, you know, if you like Valve and think they're a good company, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them being a game company too. But I need to start ranting right now. Now, I'm gonna try to keep this to a minimum, and I need to get this off my chest because, you know, it needs to be said. And I want you to share this all to your friends and any of your friends and their friends of their friends, and try to get it sent to Valve because they need to listen for once. I'm glad Mark Laidlaw released the story because he knew that Valve was never going to release it. I bet Gabe told him himself, oh yeah, there's no way they're going to release that. We're never going to release that, obviously. And, you know, I need to talk to you guys for real this time. So, what's it called? So, basically, I'm pretty sure Mark Laidlaw, because he's been working on the Half-Life games for, a few years. I'm pretty sure that Gabe told him, you know, we're not going to make Episode 3, because, we don't need it. And you're probably wondering, why would Gabe tell Mark that? And you want to know why he would tell him that? Money. And you know what I want to say is, Valve, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm actually bashing on you guys right now. I didn't want to bash on you guys because you're an excellent game company. You came out with great games over the year, but I need to talk to you. I'm talking to you, Valve. I'm not talking to any other game company. I'm talking to you. Okay? I didn't want to try to be mean and rude. You guys are great, like I said. But it goes without a fact that you guys just gave up on Half-Life. That's what you guys did. And you want to know why you gave up on it? Because of Steam. That's why you gave up on it. Because, you know, it's better to have a pretty penny in your pocket to make y'all feel better, now does it? Now, okay, y'all may have purchased Steam or made Steam because you need money to make your games. That's fine and well, but don't ever disrespect one of your games. If it wasn't for Half-Life, you guys would be nothing. And I'm being true about this, Valve. If you did not have Half-Life and it did not succeed, you guys would have not made it to where you were at. And that includes Gabe Newell. Now, what I'm trying to say is that Valve, you've messed up. Like, basically, you have ruined your entire gaming company. And not only that, here's what's going to happen in the next month or 3 months. You guys are going to start, start declining in profit, because one, people will figure out about this. It's already been posted to the internet. Two, Steam is going to start declining. And when I mean Steam's going to start declining, that means everybody's going to stop buying off of you guys. So that's one thing. Three, people are going to start emailing you guys and hating on everything you guys do. You guys just don't get it, obviously, that if it wasn't for your game Half-Life, and might I add, I've been, the people of Portal should just stop right now. Leave Valve and make their own game company. Take the Portal trademark with them. Because they're not doing nothing with you guys' game. And, find another company that knows how to work with your game. And Mark, you should do the same thing. Join the people who've made Portal. I mean, I don't know if you've done retired or just left because of just Valve in general, but if you're up for it, just if the Portal team just like up and leaves Valve and takes the Portal trademark with them, dude, do the same. Get a team that is like, get the Black Mesa team, dude. They know how to make a game. They love Half-Life so much they made a recreation for the first game. Join them, because they know how to make a Half-Life game, obviously. And I mean, you could say, well, they just recreated the first game. What's the big deal? They recreated the first game in a way that is revolutionizing. They made it new, like it's newer. That's not even a word, but they made it like it's brand new. That's what you need to do, Mark Laidlaw. You need to forget about Valve, obviously. You need to go up to Gabe Newell and say, first of all, you need to, the story of episode 3 is okay. It's not brilliant. It's okay. I'm fine with the story. But what you need to do, Mark, is you need to go step up to Gabe Newell and say, this ain't right. This ain't right. You're doing this to our fans. The people who made us who we are. The people who inspired us to make the Half-Life and Portal games. And he's basically telling us, you know, he's basically throwing us out like trash. I mean, that's the comparison I'm making up now, is that Gabe Newell doesn't care about his fans. The only thing he cares about is money, obviously. I mean, he might go up on that big stage and be like, oh yeah, we care about our fans, and we've provided that there's going to be a Half-Life and Portal movie, and J.J. Abrams, he's a first of all, dude. I can't wait. I'm glad you're starring in Star Wars because I'm pretty sure Gabe just paid you to go up there to just say that you were gonna work on a Portal and Half-Life movie. I mean, why would they need movies? Why would you need a Half-Life movie if you haven't finished it? If you haven't finished a story, why would you need one? Portal, okay, that sounds good, okay? Make a backstory about Portal. I mean, but you don't disrespect your games that you've made over the years. What they're doing right now is they're pretty much disrespecting Half-Life. I'm a Half-Life fan and a Portal fan, but do I disrespect and bash those games? No, I don't. I praise those games because they made the gaming industry what they are today. I mean, sure, the gaming industry isn't that great today, but still, let me talk about this, okay? Still, it's not great today, but it's what it is now. It would probably have been better. Like, if Half-Life and Portal did not come into the gaming industry wouldn't be what it is today. But no, here, like I said, here's what's gonna happen in the next 3 months. Valve's gonna get a lot of hate, and I mean like a lot of hate. Everybody who is on Steam right now who loves Portal and Half-Life, which I mean could be most of their fan base or not, they'll stop buying. Even if they have their little sales, that's not going to help you. I mean, okay, people are going to start emailing Valve, telling them, you messed up, do you even care about your fans? Like, they're going to start bashing Valve. And then what's going to happen is they're not going to have, like, enough money. They're basically going to lose all the money that they get from Steam, obviously. Depends on how many people still buy their games. What's up, dude? I'm ranting about Valve. So if you don't know what Valve is, it's the people who made Steam. So that's what I'm ranting about. They're not respecting one of their games, and that's what I'm ranting about. I'm basically saying that Valve is not going to end up well over the next course of the next few months.
Yes, I can tell. I know what Valve is.
Bro, dude, you type fast. Yeah, but did you hear that they released episode 3? They released the episode 3 storyline. Like Mark Laidlaw, the dude who directs Half-Life, I think, he released the story for episode 3. I said the reason why he did that is because he knows that Valve's never going to come out with it, so he's like, he picked the closest one that could be canon to Half-Life. Yeah, he basically leaked it, so... But I'm saying that I'm saying that Valve doesn't respect Half-Life at all. Like, they don't respect it. Because if they would have respected, they would have already, like, came out with it. I mean, that's the game that really started their company. I mean, you could include Portal, but Portal, like, came in 2007. So, really, Half-Life was the one who brought them to where they are today. And the reason why I'm saying that they don't also make episode 3 is
someone made a mod and that's
it.
as close as you're gonna get to episode.
Give me a sec. Well, somebody made a mod and that's as close as you're gonna get to episode. Yeah, I know, like, episode 3, I'm feeling like in the next few months, like, I know how you said there's a mod out there, but I feel like the people who made Black Mesa, that one game, I feel like they're gonna make, like, episode 3, or they should, in my opinion. They did great on Black Mesa, I'm not gonna lie. But as I was saying, the reason they don't want to make an episode 3 of Half-Life is
Crowbar
because
Collective.
they like profiting off of Steam. Crowbar Collective. I see you. Basically, like I said, they're profiting off of Steam, obviously. Like, I don't know. If you were to make a game and it was the one that made you like start off, like, let's say you were Valve and you started with Half-Life and it was biggest success. Let's say like when episode 2 was released, would you have like if you found like a good story, like the story that like Laidlaw had like put on the forums on his own like website?
That's the people who made Black Mesa, but they
Would
loved
you
their...
have like basically did the same thing Valve's doing right now? Oh, dude, yeah, they do need to make the Crowbar Collective. They do need to make that. But they love their den. Well, I mean, if it's a do or die, I mean, either way, I feel like the Zen part is gonna be great. I've heard a lot about the Zen being revealed of what like time it's supposed to come out. But as I said, like if you were Valve at this point, would you like treat Half-Life the way it is? Like how they're treating it? Because if it was me, I
They have
wouldn't.
screenshots.
They have screenshot. Moved, not. I said moved. Yeah, I know they have screenshots. Like, you know. But, like I said, would you do the same thing that Valve has been doing? Like, to the Half-Life franchise, like the franchise? Like, in your opinion? Quite frankly, I gotta say is that I feel like Steam's gonna start to decline, like very, very soon.
If I worked for Valve, I would put my blood, sweat...
Give me a sec. If I worked for Valve, I would put my blood and sweat and tears into just finishing Half-Life Episode 3. Might as well get it over with. See, yeah, that's what they should be doing. They should be finishing off the series. Like, it shouldn't take... I mean, if that's the closest they can come up with, then, story-wise, I'd be fine with it, because then it just sets up for side stories. And, like you said, the Crowbar Collective, I think Mark Laidlaw should go to them and then ask them if they can make the episode 3 that, you know, he was talking about. I mean, it makes sense because, you know, after they're done with Black Mesa, it would make a lot of sense for them to do episode 3. Because, you know, Valve's not going to do it. You, like, obviously by now, you know they're not going to do it. Even, what's it called? The movies, Valve's probably not going to do those either, so... Because I feel like Valve, and it's not just Valve, but
Might as well,
Gabe,
they are never gonna live up to expectations.
Might as well, they are never going to live up to the expectation of everyone. Going to hate Valve either way because they haven't done it or because it... Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. They're not going to live up to it, and that's why I think the Crowbar Collective, they should do it. Because I feel like they should do that. You know, they're basically like the new Valve in my eyes. They know like what to do. But like I said, there's one of the reasons why they didn't do it, and it was because of Steam. that's one of the reasons why they have not made episode 3. Because they're greedy. Let's leave it at that. I think Gabe Newell is greedy. I mean, I see what you mean by like episode. You would put your blood and sweat into episode 3. Like I would do the same too. But
I'm sure if they wanted to, the Crowbar Collective.
Let me say. I'm sure if they wanted. Yeah, like it would probably be like how it is now with Black Mesa. Like it's not. It's either. I know what you mean, but like what I've saw from Black Mesa, it is their work is excellent. I'm not gonna lie. They're like the new Valve in a sense, where they know what to do and they know not to mess up, obviously. And they also respect Half-Life enough to make a what's it called? A remaster of it. I mean, like I said, the reason why is because Gabe is probably greedy. I mean, I thought, they made Steam for their games that they make. But no, that's not the case. That's not the case.
Like Valve, but without the money grabbers.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I see what you mean. They're like Valve, but not money grabbers. I see what you mean. But basically, what's it called? Valve themselves. What I think they should do is the people who have made Portal and people who've made Team Fortress, they need to up and leave. Like they need to make their own games. And I mean, they can release it on Steam, but they need to get their trademarks, their game trademarks and everything. Even CS:GO. They need to take their games and just leave. Make their own game companies. Like, I mean, it would probably affect, even if Portal left, I feel like it would probably affect it. But I feel like even that, like, Half-Life should belong to, like, Mark Laidlaw. He should own that, not Valve. Because, and they're not doing anything with the franchises, so I'd rather let the fans handle this. Like, But like I said, they need to get their game, trademarks, and everything and just up and leave. And, like, there's not been a Portal 3 announced. So it's like, they're only running off of Steam. That's the only reason they're even a company, is because of Steam.
The only reason TF2 is free is because they haven't.
The only reason TF2 is free is because they have in-game purchases and they make millions off of that garbage. Yeah, dude. Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, me and that guy were talking. He said the only reason TF is like that is what he said was the only reason TF is free is because they have in-game purchases and they make millions off that garbage. See, that's also one of the reasons. Okay, many of their old games made millions. TF, that was a original Half-Life mod, but then they made their game out of that, and then they made a sequel. Half-Life made it in '95. I'm gonna say somewhere around there. They disrespect it to the day, basically. So I don't know what else to say, but Valve. I just want somebody to just go up to like Gabe Newell and just be like, dude, you just suck, like, or something. But like I said, everybody who made games for Valve, they like the Portal team. They need to leave and take their trademarks with them because Valve's not doing nothing with the franchise, and Mark needs to fight to get the Half-Life series so he can and he can just ask the Crowbar Collective after Mesa's done. TF, I don't care. Like, TF they can keep because it's not that. Like, people say that's a good game, but if it's such a good game, why haven't they not came out for TF3? Like, seriously, they've had the same game out for like since 2006 or no 2007. And CS:GO and Counter-Strike, just the Counter-Strike games, they need to stay on Steam, like with Valve. But all the games that like Valve has like that made them who they are today, they all need to get their trademarks and leave, because Valve is not a good place to be developing. Even if you're a new developer for Valve, you might as well just leave. Like, I mean, you don't need to leave, but like, stay there for like 3 years, 4 or 5, 6 years, and then leave, because basically their company is not going to be Valve anymore. It's going to be called Steam, because they want money, obviously. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if what's it called? I hope that Valve just up and just goes bankrupt. The only reason I would see that they would do that is if people didn't purchase on Steam. And that would mean that they would have to make a game, obviously. They would have to make a game with the money they have left. Like I said, the old Valve was a lot better. I mean, for what I say right now, I think Xbox or Microsoft should have the rights to have Portal, and Mark Laidlaw should have the rights to Half-Life. You know, they should be in the same universe, but I think that Mark Laidlaw and the Portal team should like join up, and even the collective Crowbar, they need to join up and make the new Valve without money grabbers. They need to make a Valve that is like that puts their blood and sweat into the games. What else? And not only that, but I have one thing else to say. But since they released the what's it called, the episode 3 script, thanks to that leaves more openings to the story. Gordon Freeman goes into the future, 100 years into the future. Nobody recognizes him. What else? Nobody recognizes him for one bit, but he doesn't know where Alex is. And then he says that he's no longer the main character for the Half-Life story or something like that. And it's like, really? Because that just leaves more openings. Who's the G-Man? He might be from Zen. What I'm going to speculate right now is just a speculation, and it will be in my mini-series. So, here's what I have to say. here's how, like, the next, like, I wouldn't say they would be Half-Life games, but I would say that it would be close to Half-Life, but not Half-Life. If you know what I'm trying to say, is that they're spin-offs. So, or they could just make a Half-Life 3. That would be the end of the story. So Gordon Freeman is no longer the protagonist, obviously. G-Man is still himself. Alex is darker than she should be. Like, she has a darker demeanor. She seems more like a villain than a hero or a resistance. What's it called? Gordon is like, he doesn't have to fight nobody anymore. Like, he's totally thrown out of the story. I'm glad that they didn't. Okay, it's the closest to canon that, like, Mark said it was, but it's not canon. It's basically close to the canon story to finish off Half-Life. I'm okay with it, okay? If I was able to play that game right now, dude, I'd play it like nobody else would. But here's what I gotta say. I know how, like, the spin-offs would happen. So I say if they were to make another Half-Life game, the main character wouldn't be Gordon. Which is good, because first, they wouldn't need to, because Gordon's been in the Half-Life games since the first one. It's time for him to have, like, a rest. So Gordon is basically not in the third Half-Life game. He's somewhere else. He's basically... what's it called? He basically has settled down in, like, a city. Any random city in, like, the US. Or Europe, or whatever he is at. So the third story's protagonist, there is a ton of ways they can go with this. It could start off with Alex having to fight off the rest of the Combine. Or they can bring in a character that hasn't been used since Half-Life 1, which a lot of people have been wanting to come back, but Valve is like, nah, we're not bringing that guy back. They could bring in Adrian Shepard. You wanna know why they could bring him in? The reason they can bring him in is because G-Man put him in status, and he has not came out of status ever since. He's never came out of status, but G-Man has put him in status for a specific reason. I feel like Adrian Shepard and Gordon would be a good team than Alex and Gordon, because Adrian has military, what's it called? He has military capabilities, and he also has known what happened in Black Mesa. He also knows information that's the reason why he's in status. But I feel like the third game's protagonist should be Adrian Shepard. And it has to do something with the Combine. The side character, since Alex is not there, she's in status. She would have to be, she would still be in status, but Gordon would be no, it could not be Gordon at all. Who would be around in, like, 100 years? I feel like one of Barney's, like, what's it called? one of Barney's like children or ancestors would be around, and Gordon would still be around though. Gordon would still be around. But Barney's what's it called? Ancestors would be there. Well, yeah. One of like it's not gonna be his children, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna say his offsprings. Like they're basically a part of his family. And that would be Adrian's side person. Like it would help the protagonist. It would help Shepard out, basically. Yeah, but the only thing that has been mentioned of Adrian Shepard was like last in Portal. The keyboard actually spells out the name Adrian Shepard. But you know, and at the end of the day, you know what we've learned is that Valve loves money. That's the only thing they like is money, and they don't care one bit of their franchise. That's all. They love Steam. And you know what would make them mad is if people stop buying games on Steam. Dude, what I have to say is a lot of people are mad about this. There are a lot of people mad at Valve. There's going to be a lot of backlash during Valve. And they're not going to be the #1 PC sellers online ever again. That's how it's going to end up. I still like Valve. I still like Valve. They created my favorite games, but I don't know. It's like that I'm missing a piece of me when they took that piece. Maybe that's what's it called? Maybe that's what Gladys felt when, what's it called? When Cave Johnson died. She missed she was missing a piece of herself. But but instead of for me instead of somebody dying, my favorite game franchise has just been disrespected. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? I feel like we need to do something. I might put a poll up on Twitter, and I might try to get like a hold of Valve. Either what we are gonna do is we're gonna shut down Valve, shut down how they work. I don't know what to do. You guys do what you can. Share this to Valve and tell them that they have made a big mistake. I don't know. What I have to say is thank you, Mark Laidlaw. Thank you for telling us the Half-Life story, finishing it off for us. Mark Laidlaw should be respected among like game developers for what he did. He ended the franchise that really had no ending. And he also respected the game. I know why he did the article in what's it called in different words and different names, because he knew what was going to happen. He knew Valve was going to figure it out. So That's why he used different words. Valve, you should be ashamed of yourselves. That's all I gotta say. You do. I don't know what happened with Mark. I feel like they didn't treat him right. Maybe that's why he left. He probably wanted to create Half-Life 3. But he couldn't because of the money grabbers. Dude, but I played Half-Life when I was a kid, dude. I didn't play the original Half-Life, but I played the second one, and that's what got me into the Half-Life and Portal series. Thanks to Mark Laidlaw, no, thanks to Valve, and then what does Valve have to do? They have to put a knife in my back. Be like, yeah, dude, you're never gonna get this game. Well, you're never gonna get this game, the actual game, but, you know, they actually say that you're never gonna get this game from us. They put a knife in my back and disrespected everyone. Valve, you should be ashamed of yourself. I hope somebody makes a Kickstarter and or I hope somebody does something about this. I hope that Valve just crumbles because of this. And Gabe Newell, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're the CEO of Valve. You were the one who kickstarted this well, no, not really. The people who made Half-Life 4, you didn't kickstart the company. The people who made Half-Life did. But you, the CEO of your own company, should be disrespected of yourself by getting drawn in by money grabbers. You should have never made Steam. The only reason they made it is because it was a little backup, just in case if they made a game that was not good enough. Well, I hope you guys feel happy about yourself, Valve. I hope your fan base does better than you actually. And they will. That's obvious, because you don't care. You don't care about your games, and that's why your fan base has to care about them. They have to pick up on the stories that you guys leave off. And heck, I'm glad Mark Laidlaw gave it out. I know I'm saying this a lot, but people should be glad he gave that out, just to show how bad Valve is. Just to show how Valve truly acts and how they so-called care about their customers. Yeah. You must not care about your customers to never create the ending for the game that made you started. Like I said, if y'all get this in contact with Valve, I really truly want the people of Valve to see this, to truly see how they messed up. And you know these people make millions off of Steam every day. Somebody, like I said, somebody needs to make a Kickstarter something. I think Steam just needs like new ownership, obviously. You know, I don't think Steam should be in the hands of Valve. Like, not anymore. Because that's the reason why they don't make games anymore. It's because of Steam. I know this is a huge rant, I'm saying the same stuff, but I truly thought Valve was, I knew it was never gonna come out. Okay, I knew it. But I had hope that they were, and they just killed that hope. I had a hope that maybe they'll come out with Portal 3, you know, be creative. Be the creative Valve and not like, you know, the Valve they are now. But they're not. I've heard so many things about they're coming out with Left 4 Dead 3, Half-Life 3, but no, they only care about their HTC Vive and their VR games and Steam. And you have the audacity to put your games up on Steam. Should be ashamed. Just, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, we finally figure out Valve's true colors. That they don't care about their fans. They don't care about, you know, anybody. They only care about their money. That's all that it is. Hey, at least the people at No Man's Sky, you know, they know they know how to at least they still care about their what's it called? Their fans. But yeah, just don't buy stuff off of Steam no more, guys. That's what's gonna fuel their money, obviously. So, like I said, at the end of the day, we figure out their true colors. You know, it was never the Valve that, you know, made games for people and cared about their fans. It wasn't the Valve that cared about their what's it called? It wasn't the Valve that their games that made them who they are today. No, it's the Valve that cared about money. The Valve that cared about money and loved Steam. So I hope Microsoft buys them out. I hope they truly do get bought out by somebody for Steam. I'd rather have Microsoft out of any other game company run Steam than Valve. Dude, I even read across multiple comments on this one dude's video, and the guy was shocked. His name, like I said, his name was the Valve News Network, and I read through his comments. Everybody was either sad, saying that they were gonna do suicide, which I think they were joking about that, but it was either that or just like, I don't know. Just a lot of people were just sad and mad. Like, for instance, this guy says, so we get a nice cash grab card game and and a short, although well written, text document editing to a nearly 20-year-old franchise that people waited anxiously for 10 years to be continued. That's it, Valve. Valve is dead. Without Steam, they'd be bankrupt in yeah, dude. Like, I mean, this comment basically tells you that if they did not have Steam, they'd be bankrupt. But as of Steam, Steam has supported a lot of their multiplayer games greatly, so Steam was a good idea from the start, but it's legit lose situation, because even with the release of HL3, if it would have happened, they have to find a way to top both Half-Life Episode 1 and 2, and if they release it and it turned out like trash, they would be in the same situation they are now. So they pretty much played themselves big time. This guy says, well, I mean, they can die now. People like Gabe have so much money they can retire and live fine, just fine. Other companies would happily buy their current games. Dota, Dota would even be bought in a second. TF2 even would get attention through though some companies' interest in older games. We have closure. We don't need them anymore. Time to move on. This guy said, I would rather stay dead than be resurrected for a current year. Cash grab with all of the modern trappings of awful industry. After reading it, all I can say is Half-Life 4 confirmed. Yeah. Ends on another cliffhanger, but in all seriousness, this was so so he says it's so depressing. Only made me hunger more for Half-Life. The ending was depressing. Yeah, a soldier, Gordon Freeman, who got dumped in some 100 year into the future and got into oblivion. We don't know where Alex is. Left with no purpose. Just makes me want to play HL4. The Vorts are still around, and Alex is probably in status or dead. Already being used as a G-Man merc. So much for the explanation. Explained. I think HL is one of those stories that will never have a closed ending, even if HL4 came out. This guy's calling out Gabe, that disgusting obese Nick, bearded. He says, Gabe has been exposed. He has never had an intention of releasing Half-Life 3. He just kept it locked up until contracts ended and rode the hype train into the future. Despite company, he said despicable company, they don't make games because it's more profitable to sell others to people. Makes sense. The reason they never addressed Half-Life 3 was because interest in there ever being another sequel would allow them to crash in on old property and make die-hard fans stick with Valve, always on the verge, hoping for a new game, meaning this guy likes cussing a lot. He calls them, was using as a marketing tool. He says, F Valve, it is not a better company than any of the others, and now that I have closure, I have no need to ever use their platform again. You're just full, but I guess I'm not. Yeah, this guy says it's like you all got struck with a midlife crisis. Well, most people have been waiting for this game for 10 years. That's why people are mad. People are mad because some have been waiting 10, 20 years. Artifact. Now this... Valve announced Artifact, now this. For the first time in 20 years, I don't think I want to play video games. There's a ton of good developers out there. Just pay attention to them instead. Yes, because the world is Valve, and they F up huge. Then the entire concept of video games should be burned. You know, Black Mesa was a mod and wasn't. So episode 4, who gave? And the appropriate license for Portal. Since a good chunk, this guy says, since a good chunk of the intellectual property, this supposed episode 3 relies upon it, and since Portal 2 came out more recently than any of the Half-Life games material, it'll be a little longer before the any NDA for unused Portal concepts expires. Radio. Remove Val. You are the worst game developers. You are the game developer idiot. You are the game. Return to Microsoft. To our. Dude, he's making a joke about this. Whatever. It's a pretty good joke. This guy said, he said, this is better than the Eclipse. It's sad that we are going to have to rely on the community to get HL3. Why, Valve? Why? 6 years ago you were awesome. 10 years ago you were legendary. And now you're making a bad card game. Even if the community managed to make Half-Life 2 Episode 3, it will never be as good as Valve. You do realize what an engine is, right? Yeah, that is true. If you're using the original HL2 engine, the source engine, you can really recreate stuff. But I'd feel like that the Collective Crowbar should do that. Valve Valve's never going bad. Never. back to making games unless their Steam sales is going down. Half-Life 3 is being made. The story would not like that. Actually, no. Since this is the closest we can ever get to episode 3, I think we can all agree that HL3 was earlier than the Pyro update. That was their original idea before Source Engine became outdated. After that, after they started working on VR and Source 2, they dropped the episodic format and planned to make an actual HL3 at some point in the future. Needless to say, they dropped that too. They never announced anything. So much time passed. It was concluded that they will skip the episodes and aim directly for a new game. The story wouldn't have reached another continuity without having released a new material beforehand. Anyway, so HL3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3 is interchangeable definition that doesn't matter. It's the same thing and they both don't exist. Everybody does not like the card game. What's that? Everybody's reciting. This was one guy. These three guys here are reciting "Hurt" from Johnny Cash. Dude, that is going a little too far. Easily obtain games, help create world. Ouch. Okay, so I'm planning to make a Half-Life mod of this story, but I need some help because I'm a noob at programming and I love creating levels and the Source Engine. Help. If you. What has happened to this generation? People have been so negative these days that they always give up. Well, Mark didn't give up on the Half-Life series, obviously. He wouldn't have posted it. I'm not giving up on it because it's a good game. I grew up with Half-Life. They are always successful. Will start boycotting Steam and demand that the seeing their user base rapidly diminish. Becomes all but abandoned, and Valve struggles to make end meets, throws in the white towel and files for bankruptcy. HL3, the most hyped thing to ever hit games, ultimately ruins the company that makes the series and goes down as one of the most tragic tales in game history. Yeah, that is true. I don't think Valve or Steam will ever go under. I do, however, feel that someone else needs to step up and change they need to change the tyrant they became. To Valve, money talks. If they started making less money than they already are, they might step up their game up. The only way I can see this happening is if the secondary DRM site would honor your Steam account. If the game exists on your Steam account as well as their yeah, no. there was actually documents and models relating to Half-Life 3 that appeared before. If HL3 was never planned, why hide it? Half-Life 3 was actually planned multiple times. It was just abandoned each time. Just read the leak. I'm speechless. Half-Life was my gateway into video games. The first game I've ever played, and remembering loving to death. So, as a super fan, I'm utterly lost for words. I don't know what to feel at this point. Same. We're finally free at last. No point of using Steam no more. Now, was it that hard, Valve? The story is right there, nice and short. Would it have been that hard to turn this into a game? He says, who the F told them to wait 10 years? Sorry, I'm trying to be a little PG here. Just do it 2 months after episode 2, and all this hype wouldn't have been here. You need to keep in mind that Laidlaw released this on the 21st anniversary of Valve. So this is why he did it. You also need to keep in mind that Laidlaw released this on the 21st anniversary of Valve's founding, August 24th, 1996. This was a direct jab in the gut, also likely due to his NDA ending. So they did do something to him. They did. Valve did do something. As NDA. Oh yeah, definitely. It would explain a lot, especially with NDA that has expiration or expires the day you leave. Whatever is connected with it, only rarity there are timeless NDAs, if any. Wait, really? His NDA ended and he released this? Dude, he's a hero. Let's go copy and paste the HL3 story in every Valve game review. Oh my god, dude. Let's go copy and paste the HL3 story in every Valve game review. I doubt episode 3 will come out, but not because this was released. HL2 was leaked, and they still made it there. There's other reasons. Well, HL2 was leaked as an actual existing game. It had an engine, and it had a setup, all universe characters, and some stories that changed quite a lot after the leak. But it was very alive when it got leaked. This isn't even comparable to the game that was promised to be, but never got out of the first design phase. A story gets leaked by the main writer, aka the father of Half-Life, 10 years later to finally end this chapter. This isn't even close to comparable. This is the final confirmation that Half-Life is dead. I'm pretty sure if there was a chance to actually see a game in the series, the man who's the most responsible for it to exist in the first place wouldn't release something that would seriously hurt its future. The only reason he could do this is because it has no future, except no further correspondence from me regarding these matters is my final episode. Yours, the infinite finality. Yours, in infinite finality, Gordon Freeman. I don't know how to read it, but for me, there is no other expectation than this is the end, period. If Valve can't make HL3, what can we do?
Half-Life belongs to Valve. Well, everyone's thinking to make a game. I will also join in once I have completed my research of how the story should be and how it was designed. Thinking to build it in Unreal Engine 4, but that isn't suitable for this type of game. And Source Engine was just a plain out fart, so Unity should do it. But then the graphics is too toned down. Frostbite should do it fine, but I feel like it's too complicated to design on it. So any other engine should everybody start working on Half-Life 3. This is a high chance of being that Valve just actually scrapped the whole idea on Half-Life Episode 3. Mark maybe release the story so he can finally actually please the fans one last time. Edit. There might also be a chance that Mark, hearing about the scrapping on Half-Life, and decided to give the story to the community so they can make it. I bet Mark's been secretly working on this for a really long time and was debating whether he should release this or not, and did it out of pure frustration and anger towards Valve. Oh yeah, I can definitely imagine that when you have passion for something, you will work on it even if you are the only person in the team, pretty much solo. But it's probably got to the point where he just couldn't take it, like a shout in a dark. The amount of work that would need to be put into it for one person, just impossible to tackle. Even when the team of 3, 7, or 15, it would take years. It's just left me speechless to imagine there was nobody out there that wanted to get hired by Valve and simply work on on Half-Life franchise. I mean, come on. Are so many people in love with this, and I'm sure that there are countless of programmer, graphic designer, and whatnot that could easily get the job there and work on it. Imagine how cool that would be. There's a team over at Dreams of Half-Life 3 being assembled to make a group similar to the Crowbar Collective to develop a new Half-Life fan-made game based on Mark's story using the Unreal Engine. No, hold off and make it with Source 2. If you're going to make a Half-Life Episode 3, don't make it in any other Source engine. Like, don't make it in any other engine. Make it in Source 2. That's what I'm saying. That's myself saying that. Make it in Source 2. Consider these recent circumstances. I don't think it's okay to wait for anything Valve related anymore. Half-Life can work in Unreal Engine. Half-Life can work in Unreal Engine. The engine is flexible enough to copy the movement system exactly. What if that's what you're worried about? This was released just after the 21st birthday. I'm sure Mark was very aware of this. I'm not so sure. He said on his Twitter that the timing was insignificant and that he just got around to it. Well, I guess there's nothing less to look forward to, and oh my god, dude. It's a joke. Mark Laidlaw is truly amazing. As I read the end of the text, I felt empathy and yet some sort of relief, as if I were to jump out of reality. The Borealis can take us places. Oh my god. Does anybody remember Brain Grub Twitter account that Mark created as a Brain fanfiction? Yeah, I do remember that, actually.
That's actually in the story. And he still fired shots at Valve even then. Oh my god, dude, that guy's savage. Well, if you recall everything that happened back then, there were some more credible rumors that multiple sources that there actually was a small team working on it, probably even the lead by Laidlaw himself. But my guess is right that the sentence "old friends have been silenced or fallen by the wayside" means that the company actually discouraged or even banned people from working on the project as time went on until they started to drop the old guard in 2013 and further on. Spoiler, is it just me, or at the end of Gordon could be at the same place as Chell at the end of Portal 2? I mean, it's a calm place in the distant future that no one can tell if humankind has defeated Combine, or I would love to see those two meeting, but I kind of understand that both of their stories might reached their end. The field Chell finds herself on after Portal 2 is fake. Well, you don't know if it's fake, okay? You can't just say it's fake. After walking a few steps, she bumps into a plastic sheet that it seems like would have been an awesome ending. Yeah, but that gives sense of utility. Maybe that was the point, but unless it was executed very well, it would have probably had been incredibly unsatisfying. Honor is one thing, but the last thing you want is to make it come off like a Shaggy Dog story, where ultimately nothing is accomplished but mildly annoying. The Combine forces on Earth, and just being infinite circumspect to the rest of them. Even if defeating the Combine as a whole would be totally futile effort at least, somehow managing to bar them from Earth entirely would at least make the player feel as though they accomplished something. As though his wording with "I may have done something," as well as conflicting between Alex and Mossman. Maybe multiple endings and choices were playing. Multiple endings would be fascinating, honestly. Okay, totally okay. With nothing being explained about G-Man, obligatory the name of the game for his character. Obligatory is the name of the game. I don't think we should know everything for certain about him. Plus, it is definitely ends with a note that Half-Life as a series would not be over. Only Freeman's story. He said, "So long, space scientist." bet Half-Life 3. I mean, I said I bet He says I bet Episode 3 would be released long ago, but as we know, Valve's afraid of failing their community. Gabe hates making promises or overhyping. After that, what people do, such as screaming for new game and constantly saying it's going to be the best thing ever. I'm not surprised they decided just to make it all. Hype is leading to high expectations and mostly disappointed due to the overhype. Valve perfectly knows that, so they decide to stick with the best for their community, making the best gaming platform available on PC. Gabe said to beat piracy is to provide better service than piracy. It's just an excuse Valve pulled out. Okay. This whole explanation became too high and futile thing is just an excuse Valve pulled out there to deflect responsibility. They never made because there was more money elsewhere. That's all. This guy says this is a sadly and inevitable that when a company like Valve allows ambition and ludicrous business models to be the leading ethics of organization. Let's face it, single player storytelling games aren't perceived to be trendy and progressive enough right now. They should be gasping fun. Is Dorf's art? No, it looks like normal fun. This guy says, I gotta say, Valve is terrible. Are terrible. He says they are effing terrible. I generally and sincerely mean that they have quickly turned into another. Yeah, that is true. They have turned into another EA. All their multiplayers only games are boring, microtransaction filled messes, and since idiots keep buying into Valve's bullshit, they keep releasing freemium games like Artifact. I have zero respect for them nowadays. This guy said now we can fully mark the day as when Valve fully died. Might. They don't care anymore. Yeah, that is true. This guy says he means they don't die. He says he means they don't die on the inside. They don't care about it anymore. Valve is on the 21st anniversary of Valve
a coincidence. I'm more confident that HL3, dude, I'm just telling you, this guy, nah. Just hear the excitement in your voice. Not pointing any fingers here, but I'm pretty sure Laidlaw wasn't saying about Half-Life until after the game theory video. Did MatPat indirectly cause? There's no way he could have indirectly caused this, though. MatPat's videos are declining in quality, and he has grown unfunny. Though I'm thankful if he had anything to do with the current situation. I have like, yeah, that is true. I'm actually subscribed to Game Theory, and I don't know by the comments is in you can just hear the voice, hear the hope has died. Dude, yeah, that is true. Dude, yeah, you could hear that at the start of this video that Valve News Network that he has just died inside. How could Valve do this? They've never nothing but deaf ears. What ID Software released Doom 3. People wanted another Doom game, and then a decade later, with everything rehashed from the development, they bring us Doom, and ID Software delivered it perfectly. Now, after a decade later, Valve announces a card game. Then their original writers leave. With that, Valve has become today. Things are looking bleak, sad, to say these. These people built Valve from the ground up since day one, back in the day, alongside the man who we used to trust and look up to. How could Gabe abandon the franchise that made him where he is today? What a shame. See, I'm not the only one who's saying this, guys. Other people are saying that it's shameful, that he's wronged the series. And you know what? You want to read this? From Graham. I expect you know better than the appropriate course of action, and I leave it to you. Expect no further correspondence from me. This is my final episode. Yours, infinite finality. Gordon Freeman, PhD. I've been waiting 13 years for closure, and now I'm at peace. Thank you, Half-Life 3. The very first and very last words ever spoken through the mind of Gordon Freeman. The closest we will get to hear his thoughts. I gotta be honest, that last paragraph got me hard, and it does. It's not. Yeah. Don't you see, people? It's just a ruse to reduce hype. It's not a ruse. I'll tell you that. What's it called? Laidlaw left Valve. The whole thing is a orchard by Gaben to lower our hopes so that Valve can finally reach HL3 without expectations being so high. HL3 might sound crazy, but as yeah, now people would just be grateful to find this. I'm not saying HL3 come, but he left Valve over a year ago. How would he know if HL was canceled? Do you really think they would just sat on a script for 9 years, and then after firing the game's writers, they decided to finally start development? Really?
Sometimes the best movie is not to make any movie. That's why it's best to move from the community standpoint. They are had to mock us for 10 years instead. Don't know if they had all the resources. We don't know their, what's to say, I don't know if they had all the resources. We don't work there. I mean, does throwing money at the development long enough going to give us the game we were expecting for 10 years? It's debatable, but they indeed called it a trilogy. So if that's if so if so it's it is true that people were betrayed, fooled, and I understand your argument. At least we have some sort of closure on the plot, and we can be 100% sure of what Valve exactly is going of what exactly is going on at Valve. So-called it canceled might be wrong. Maybe it's just crazy PR stunt for the release. Personally, I don't care much for Half-Life because it has been 10 years. The audience has changed for better or worse, and we got some amazing games during this time. Even on the first-person shooter genre, Wolfenstein: New Order, Doom 27. I'm okay with them focusing on VR. Guys, do you realize this? Why? Canon you can never get. He's just used not to get in trouble with Valve. Even the names were masked. So he basically he used careful language not to get in trouble with Valve, obviously. I mean, didn't everyone already know that Half-Life was never going to happen? Wasn't that why waiting for episode 3 finally can sleep peacefully. For the record, no one said canceled, so I don't know why people are getting so angry. So this is how Gabe says thanks to the people that loved and played Half-Life.
A huge F you. Well, Gabe, I thought you were cool, but you're just selfish. But hey, that's just... Oh my god. Since a lot of people are seeming to lose faith in Valve, I suggest you read up on this. It really goes to show how Valve has become, or maybe always was, over the years, how they've put up a facade of being your friendly neighborhood game company that has flocking to give them money and protect them from any sort of backlash. It's a pretty enlightening read and kind of helps show maybe how foolish we've all been and how corrupt Valve's. Yeah, let's see what this says. I really want to see this. Sorry this is a long stream, but I'm just reading through comments, seeing what people have on their mouth. Valve is not your friend. What does it say? Valve is not your friend, and Steam is not healthy for gaming. By Tim Caldwell. That's who did the article. The views expressed in this article are those of the author and do not necessarily represent the views of the and should not be attributed. More on how the drive to be on the bleeding edge of technology powers the PC gaming community. We want nothing more than to run our ridiculously powered rigs on barely statable beta drives with our CPUs overclocked to speed that we are neither advisable nor guaranteed to be safe on our systems. It's a good match for the ship first, inherit later. Approach of mayors, companies who want to expand and the cost and don't care. But companies like Uber, Lyft, and others are starting to feel at the risk on the edge of the world. It's finally realized that a hands-on profit-first tax dodging connection and service platform powered by the cheap labor of people who aren't technically employees and have no rights isn't exactly a good idea. In fact, it may be a very bad one, whether this means government regulators finally getting their acts together, union winning in court cases, civilians voting them out of town, and these companies are starting to feel the downward side of moving fast, breaking. If you were ask the average PC gamer, they swear up and down that there's no way they ever give their money to such a corporation. They not only be caught dead before helping a company like that came to power, they might even join the resistance to stop them. And yet, that sort of operation is exactly what PC gaming community has been supporting, promoting, the defending since 2004 when Valve more or less forced us to install Steam, bundling it with Half-Life 2. Valve didn't always seem like the sort of corporation which thought of its customers as meaningless numbers and costal profit machines. How could it be, with its fierce and innovating vision for digital distribution, its suitable and influential first-party titles, its approachable, meme-friendly CEO look? We said to each other, you can send Gabe Newell a funny email, and he responds with a joke. What a good guy. Valve is good. Perhaps a good guy Valve didn't exist at one time, but beneath the glassy smile of good guy Valve today lurks an altogether more cold and corporate beast, a textbook rent seeker that is profiting from both hostile practices and bizarrely customer support, nearly a monopoly on PC game sales. It seems increasingly unlikely that the good guy Valve ever existed. Good thing good guy Valve is clever marketing concept, a machine operating on a massive scale, and one that can only do so. It is powered by one thing, Valve. Would it later become exploited above all, and free labor, adoring users and consumers' goodwill that often feels both unearned and bottomless. Valve controls an unprecedented slice of PC gaming industry, and there can be no doubt that the power behind the throne is and always has been us. Good guy Valve worked hard to make us believe that the
willing installing surveillance and control software onto our computers was a morally beneficial, perhaps even rigorous act, and we swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. All of this began when Valve released an easy-to-keep Counter-Strike update, and then Valve figured out it could get a lot of people using the software by making it mandatory part of Half-Life 2. It's an unusual first. Requires some form of internet access upon installation. Valve software confirmed today. All versions require an internet connection upon installing to prove the legitimacy of the player's copy. This is for the authentication / anti-piracy purpose. Once this has been completed, the owner of either the retail or the Steam version can play Half-Life 2 single-player off and offline modes. Remember that even the retail version of Half-Life 2 requires installation of Steam, which means any store that sold PC software was selling you. They're doomed with every single copy of the game. Anyone who was immediately convinced and it was worth it only needed a few minutes with Half-Life 2 to see the error of their ways, reaching for the gravity gun to hurl a toilet into their face, of a Combine soldier leaving the EULA unread and untouched but agreed upon. Innovating titles like the Team Fortress and Left 4 Dead submitted the decision that lopsided relationship with Valve had more benefits than the drawbacks. It was convenient, it worked. We didn't need to think about it. Valve bought with the cloud saves service. Steam gave a lot back in the early days, even when it was lying down the tracks for a lot of questionable decisions in the future. We also didn't want to see anything else once we Steam's near monopoly has always been happy, supported by players, even the press. EA launched its original Origin client in 2011 and demanded that we install it if we want to play Battlefield 3. Our collecting Stockholm syndromes for Steam kicked in mass, and we ran greedy corporation, and it seems like the only redeeming feature of Origin is all the free stuff they give away. Forums post from 2 years ago states getting the Titanfall DLC for free was granted, and same with the old classic PC games like Wing Commander. But when you step back and look at the situation, it doesn't make sense. They're giving away games, refunding broken ones, and trying to manage all this through a poorly designed digital game service. And it only makes sense when you remember that EA is a greedy company that just wants more money, more power, which they seem to lust after in almost blinded like fashion. There is almost a sense from the writing in 2011 that everyone should just roll over and accept Steam, not wanting to give another company a big chunk of yours revenue in order to use their store is characterized as wanting more money and more money. Developers have sometimes complained about Valve, your monsters in digital distribution, and wished for seriously competitive alternates. Geek.com wrote, "It appears that EA is taking this possibility very seriously with Origin, but it won't exactly to be gamers' benefits." What the heck? Benefits if in 3 years all gaming PCs are running stores from Valve, EA, Blizzard, and Ubisoft at all times, just so that players can access their purchases. Valve had all your information and was tracking your data, but it would be wrong for other companies to do so. Valve takes 30% of each sale on Steam, but anyone who wants to keep their own revenue is seen as greedy. Looking back, it's strange to think how quickly even the most vocal Steam haters became to terms with the idea of keeping Steam Valve software on the computer. 8 short years after feeling concerned about one forced DRM installation, we suddenly had nothing but vile contemptions for another, as if being forced to use one particular monopoly servant's control channel was the most natural thing in the world, but existence of the second is untenable. Steam is good and Origin is bad. Steam is run by good guy Valve, and Origin is the devil spawn of EA, the evil corporation who doesn't care about you. We know these things to be true, right? No sale, no ownership, no refunds. We all eventually discovered that our close, personal, and entirely fictional relationship with Valve did not entitle us to any kind of refunds or purchase on our purchases, but it took a better part of a decade for enough people to start noticing that Steam's refund policy was so much a policy as the words printed in huge sizes, 72 font, and started to raising hell about it. We were used to buying our own PC games in the store, and we had recourse if they didn't work. We could go talk to someone. Steam never provided that luxury, and it still didn't work. It still doesn't. The occasional no refund horror story was demised as the exception, not the rule. It didn't cause near enough to damage the good guy Valve golden brand. An incredible 11 years passed before enough people were posed of enough indignity and fury to actually complain about the authority. Players began nothing that was Valve was doing was widely illegal, pointing out the quite accurately under the European law, consumers were entitled to a refund on all purchases, even for something so simple as changing their mind. Valve used every trick in the book to stall the ongoing end of other. So basically, it's just Valve is corrupt. Nobody just you know. All I gotta say is this video is going on for too long, and all I gotta say is Valve, you should be ashamed of yourself. Skip you and Steam, and I'll still play your games, but I'm not gonna buy your games. That's how it's gonna be.
So that's how it's gonna be from now on. So, yeah. Tell me what you guys think about Steam, Valve, especially Valve, and tell me what you guys think about Gaben. Because, I think somebody needs to write him a new one. Even the company needs to get writing a new one. Just, you know what? Yeah. Anyway, guys. Tell me what you guys think about Half-Life. What else? Tell me what you guys think about, Valve and Steam and even Game Newell, because I'm enemies with these people now. Metaphorically, not physically. Well, you guys know what I mean. We're not. We used to be friends, but now we're not. I will still play your games though. They're good. I'm not gonna lie, your games are good. But I'll every time I end episode 2, I will read episode 3, or wait until a mod comes out on Steam. Either or. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. If you support Half-Life 3, make sure you can comment down. Comment down in the comment section and like if you want to. But we're talking about Half-Life, so you might as well just like, because that game is awesome. So anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video and enjoyed the content. Sorry it was so long. I'm just a Half-Life fan. You guys know how Half-Life fans are. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching. And make sure you share this to Valve to see how scummy they are. They already are scummy, and I don't even trust them now. Like, I'm afraid to even, like, call them out. Because they're a big corporation. I'm a small YouTube channel. But anyway, Valve, you should be ashamed of yourself by not treating your games right. And Newell, you should be ashamed. Because y'all all greedy. Well, yeah. Or no, Newell is probably greedy, but the company itself, I don't know. I don't think the company itself. Nah, it probably is the company. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys liked. If you guys have played Half-Life, what's your experience on this? What do you guys think about this? How the story got leaked? Are y'all happy? Are you guys at peace? Because after reading about all these people saying that they're in peace, I'm at peace too. So now I'm at peace. I'm done at ranting now. I will watch more videos to get more out of the information. But good for Laidlaw for like what's it called? Releasing this just to show how bad Valve and how scummy they are. And this man needs to be honored. He needs to be given like a Oscar for like doing this. Because without him, we wouldn't know the ending. And we can thank the community for, making a mod about this. So, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you I'm going to say this one last time. This is the legendary Saiyan signing out. I hope you like this. And Valve, you're scummy. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Half-Life is what made you. Peace.